Phil Dobson here, author of The Brain Book and founder of Brain Workshops. In this video, I want to explore how you can use physical exercise to boost your cognitive performance each day and to protect your brain over the long term. So, how does exercise affect your brain? Well, think about it. As you move, what tends to happen is your circulation increases, right? More blood flow starts pumping around your body, and much of that goes to your brain. And as that happens, it brings with it pretty valuable resources: oxygen and glucose. And like all muscles, your brain needs oxygen and glucose to function. So as you start to get more of this oxygen and glucose, your brain performs better. Some studies suggest that 20 minutes of light to moderate activity in the morning generates a 20%, more than 20% improvement in your productivity for the rest of the day. 20% improvement in your productivity by just moving for 20 minutes. And you don't even need to move vigorously. It could be a walk, it could be a bit of an exercise on your bike, it could be just gentle activity, and suddenly you've oxygenated your brain and it will perform better for the rest of the day. So how can you do this practically? Well, exactly that. Think, how can you include some degree of movement every morning so that by the rest of the day you've got more oxygen in your brain? Personally, I have an exercise bike here and I get on it for 15 minutes or so every morning and I can feel the difference instantly. For other people, it might be a walk to work. Maybe you cycle to work. Maybe you just get off the tube one stop earlier than you need in order to get those 10 minutes of, walking movement and consequently this pumping round your head. So when you think about exercise and your brain in the short term, you're thinking less about calories and waistlines and gym sessions, but instead think in terms of little and often and how you can oxygenate your brain for subsequent performance. So what about the long-term impact of exercise? Because other studies suggest, and this is interesting, that people that exercise are also far less likely to develop Alzheimer's. Some research has said that 20 minutes of vigorous activity just 3 times a week can cut your chance of dementia by over 50%. So what's going on here? Well, it's not just about oxygen and glucose. This time, as you exercise more vigorously, your brain starts to produce a protein called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Now that stuff is like a fertilizer for your brain. We associate BDNF with the formation of new brain cells, neurogenesis, and critically, the neuroplasticity between brain cells, right? So it helps promote gray matter and white matter, new cell growth and new learning, new connections and pathways between brain cells. So this is why BDNF not only helps protect your brain over time because it produces the protein that really enables your brain to adapt and to learn and to stay young, but exercise is critical for day-to-day learning. So how can you incorporate this in a sort of practical framework? Well, hopefully you're already doing your 10, 15, 20 minutes every morning, and now you need to add to that twice, maybe 3 times a week. You're doing more vigorous activity for slightly longer. So maybe you're going for a run, maybe you're pushing it hard on a bicycle, maybe you're playing a game of tennis with a friend. You want to go for about 30 minutes and get your heart pumping. As you do that, like I say, you'll start to produce BDNF, you fertilize your brain, and consequently you're going to keep it younger for longer. And then the final thing perhaps to mention is, if you are now someone that's going to exercise every morning and do your vigorous activity 2 or 3 times a week, pay attention to the amount of time you also sit down. Because I'm sure you can imagine, if you are engaging in that positive activity, it's no good if you also spend 7 or 8 hours sat on your ass, not moving. So the other thing to think about, if we think about applicable practical steps, is have more regular breaks when you're at work. Right? If you find you're sat down for 60 minutes or 90 minutes, get up. Breaks make you more productive anyway, but when you get up, try and move, get some circulation, go for a stroll around the block or around the park, or have a lunch break that gets you out of the office, because again, you're starting to oxygenate your brain, even if it's just a little bit. What you're really doing here is reducing sedentary activity. So, like I say, they're my top tips. Number 1, 20 minutes walk or so in the morning. Number 2, 2 to 3 times a week, you really burn it for longer. And then number 3, try to sit less. Cool. All right, well, best of luck. As ever, share this video with someone you think might like it. More stuff on the website, brainworkshops.co.uk. See you later. Now go for a walk. All the best.